Welcome back to Whispered Ingredients, where we explore the gentle art of cooking through soft-spoken stories and soothing culinary wisdom. I'm your host, Marcus Sage, and I'm here to whisper you peacefully to sleep while we journey together through the comforting world of food. Tonight, we'll be preparing one of the most beloved comfort foods in the world, chicken noodle soup, a dish that has warmed hearts and healed souls for thousands of years. If you enjoy these types of restful cooking videos, please give this video a gentle thumbs up and consider subscribing to join our quiet community of food lovers. I'd love to hear about your own favorite soup memories in the comments below, so please share what makes chicken noodle soup special in your family. You'll find the complete recipe written out in the description, ready for you to save and use whenever you need a bowl of liquid comfort. Alright, let's make some soup. The story of chicken noodle soup begins far earlier than most people imagine, reaching back through centuries of culinary tradition to ancient China in the 2nd century before Christ. In those distant times, chicken soup was documented in a medical text called Neijing, where it was described as yang food, a warming dish believed to invigorate the body and restore balance to the spirit. Chinese healers would carefully add herbs to enhance the soup's medicinal properties, understanding what modern science would later confirm about the healing power of this simple combination. The ancient Greeks embraced chicken broth with equal reverence, recognizing its therapeutic qualities during times of illness and recovery. Greek physicians prescribed chicken soup to patients, believing in its ability to restore strength and vitality. This wisdom traveled through the Mediterranean world, where each culture added its own touches to the basic recipe of chicken simmered in seasoned water. During the medieval period, European cooks began adding vegetables to their chicken broths, creating heartier meals that could sustain working families through long, cold winters. The addition of onions, carrots, and celery became standard practice in many households. These vegetables not only provided additional nutrition but also created the foundation of flavor that makes chicken soup so deeply satisfying. The transformation of chicken soup into the specific dish we know as chicken noodle soup happened gradually over many centuries. In Italy during the 1700s, cooks began serving noodle soup to people who were feeling unwell because the combination was easy to digest and provided gentle nourishment. By the 19th century, noodle soups had become common comfort food throughout Europe and were traveling with immigrants to the New World. The modern American version of chicken noodle soup owes much of its popularity to the Campbell Soup Company, which began mass-producing canned versions in the early 20th century. Campbell's may have been the first company to use the specific term chicken noodle soup in their advertising during the 1930s, helping to standardize the name and recipe that Americans would come to associate with home cooking and maternal care. What makes chicken noodle soup so universally beloved goes beyond its taste and nutrition. This humble dish represents the essence of comfort food, the kind of meal that transcends cultural boundaries and speaks to our deepest need for nourishment and care. Whether served from a can during a busy weeknight or simmered slowly from scratch on a quiet Sunday afternoon, chicken noodle soup carries with it the weight of tradition and the promise of healing. The soup's reputation as medicine for both body and soul has been passed down through generations of home cooks who understood that sometimes the most powerful remedies come not from a pharmacy but from a kitchen filled with love and attention. Today, as we prepare to make our own pot of this timeless dish, we join an unbroken chain of cooks stretching back thousands of years, each adding their own care and intention to a recipe that has comforted countless souls through the ages. Creating the perfect chicken noodle soup began begins with gathering the right ingredients, each chosen with care and attention to quality. The beauty of this dish lies in its simplicity, requiring just a handful of fresh, wholesome components that work together in perfect harmony to create something far greater than the sum of their parts. For the protein foundation of our soup, you'll need one whole chicken, weighing approximately 3 to 4 pounds, or you can substitute with 2 pounds of chicken thighs and drumsticks if you prefer darker, more flavorful meat. When selecting your chicken, look for birds that feel firm to the touch with skin that appears creamy white or slightly yellow. Free-range or organic chickens will provide the richest flavor and the most nutritious broth. The vegetable trio that forms the aromatic base, known traditionally as mirepoix, consists of 2 large yellow onions, 3 large carrots, and 3 celery stalks including the leafy tops. Choose onions that feel heavy in your hand with papery skins that rustle when touched, avoiding any with soft spots or green shoots sprouting from the top. Your carrots should be firm and bright orange, preferably with their green tops still attached, which indicates freshness. The celery should appear crisp and green, with leaves that look vibrant rather than wilted. For additional depth of flavor, you'll want 4 cloves of fresh garlic, 2 bay leaves, several sprigs of fresh thyme, and a small bunch of fresh parsley. When buying garlic, select heads that feel firm with tight, papery skins, avoiding any that feel soft or have begun to sprout. Fresh herbs should look bright and smell fragrant, with no signs of browning or sliminess. The noodles for our soup require special consideration, as they must hold their shape during the cooking process without becoming mushy or falling apart. Wide egg noodles work best for this recipe, and you'll need about 12 ounces. Look for noodles made with semolina flour and real eggs, which will provide the best texture and flavor. Some cooks prefer to use smaller shapes like ditalini or small shells, but traditional wide egg noodles remain the classic choice for good reason. For seasoning, gather kosher salt, freshly ground black pepper, and perhaps a few extra seasonings like dried oregano or a touch of paprika if you enjoy additional complexity in your soup. Kosher salt dissolves more evenly than table salt and allows for better control over the final flavor balance. When shopping for these ingredients, plan to use them within a day or 2 of purchase for the freshest possible soup. The chicken should be stored in the coldest part of your refrigerator and used within 2 days of purchase, or it can be frozen for up to 6 months if wrapped properly. Fresh vegetables can be stored in the refrigerator crisper drawer, with carrots and celery lasting up to a week when stored properly. The herbs deserve special attention in storage, as they can wilt quickly if not handled correctly. Store fresh thyme and parsley in glasses of water in the refrigerator, covering the leaves loosely with plastic bags to maintain humidity while preventing condensation that could cause spoilage. Garlic should be stored in a cool, dry place with good air circulation, never in plastic bags which can cause sprouting and decay. If you're planning to make your soup over the weekend, you might consider shopping on Friday evening or Saturday morning when the ingredients will be at their freshest. Many grocery stores receive their produce deliveries midweek, making the weekend an ideal time to find the best selection of vegetables and herbs. Consider visiting a local butcher shop for your chicken, as they often carry higher quality birds and can provide helpful advice about cooking techniques. Similarly, farmers markets offer excellent opportunities to source the freshest vegetables and herbs, often picked just hours before being offered for sale. As you gather these simple ingredients, take a moment to appreciate how each one will contribute to the final dish. The chicken will provide rich protein and the foundation for a deeply flavored broth. The vegetables will add sweetness, texture, and essential nutrients. The noodles will make the soup satisfying and substantial. The herbs will brighten and enhance all the other flavors. Together, they will create a meal that nourishes both body and spirit. Before we begin the actual cooking process, take a few peaceful moments to arrange your ingredients and prepare your workspace. This practice brings a sense of calm organization to cooking and ensures that everything flows smoothly once you begin. Clear your counter space, gather your tools, and arrange your ingredients in small bowls or plates so that each component is ready when needed. Start by removing your chicken from the refrigerator about 30 minutes before cooking to allow it to come closer to room temperature. This step helps the chicken cook more evenly and reduces the overall cooking time. While the chicken is warming, use this time to prepare your vegetables with careful, deliberate cuts that will ensure even cooking throughout the soup. Begin with the onions, peeling away the papery outer layers and cutting each one in half from top to bottom. Place the flat side down on your cutting board for stability, then slice each half into thin crescents, working slowly and mindfully. The goal is pieces that are roughly the same size so they cook at the same rate and distribute evenly throughout the finished soup. For the carrots, peel them gently with a vegetable peeler, then trim off the tops and bottoms. Cut each carrot diagonally into slices about ½ inch thick, creating attractive oval shapes that will look beautiful floating in the finished broth. The diagonal cut also exposes more surface area to the cooking liquid, allowing the carrots to release more of their natural sweetness. Prepare the celery by trimming off the bottom edge and any tough or damaged parts from the tops, but save the leafy portions as they add wonderful flavor to the soup. Cut the stalks into pieces roughly the same size as your carrot slices, maintaining consistency in your vegetable preparation. Mince the garlic cloves finely, as they will dissolve into the broth and distribute their flavor throughout. Now we begin the cooking process with a large, heavy-bottomed pot that will hold at least 6 quarts of liquid. Place the pot over medium heat and add a tablespoon of neutral oil, swirling it gently to coat the bottom. When the oil shimmers slightly, add your prepared onions and cook them slowly, stirring occasionally until they become translucent and fragrant, which takes about 5 minutes. Add the carrots and celery to the pot, continuing to cook over medium heat while stirring occasionally. These vegetables should soften slightly but retain some texture, which takes another 5 minutes of gentle cooking. The kitchen will begin to fill with the comforting aroma of sautéing vegetables, the foundation of countless comforting meals. Stir in the minced garlic and cook for just 1 minute more, being careful not to let it brown or burn, which would create bitter flavors in your soup. The garlic should become fragrant but remain pale, releasing its essential oils into the warm vegetables. Place your whole chicken into the pot, breast side down if it fits better that way, and add enough cold water to cover the chicken by about 2 inches. This usually requires between 8 and 10 cups of water, depending on the size of your pot and chicken. Add the bay leaves, thyme sprigs, and a generous teaspoon of kosher salt to the pot. Bring the liquid to a gentle simmer over medium-high heat, watching carefully as the first bubbles begin to form around the edges of the pot. As soon as the liquid reaches a simmer, reduce the heat to low and adjust it so that just a few lazy bubbles break the surface every few seconds. This gentle cooking method will produce the clearest, most flavorful broth while keeping the chicken meat tender and moist. Allow the chicken to simmer undisturbed for about 1 hour and 15 minutes, or until the meat feels tender when pierced with a fork and begins to pull away from the bones easily. During this time, resist the urge to stir or move the chicken frequently, as this can break up the meat prematurely and cloud the broth. While the chicken cooks, prepare a large bowl of ice water and set it near your stove. When the chicken is fully cooked, carefully lift it from the pot using tongs or a slotted spoon and place it in the ice water bath for just a few minutes to stop the cooking process and make it cool enough to handle safely. Strain the cooking liquid through a fine mesh strainer into another large pot, discarding the cooked vegetables and herbs which have given their flavor to the broth and are no longer needed. This clear, golden broth is the heart of your soup. Let us take this quiet time while our broth simmers to explore the remarkable stories behind each ingredient in our chicken noodle soup, understanding how centuries of human cultivation and care have brought these simple elements together to create something truly nourishing and special. The chicken that forms the heart of our soup carries with it a history stretching back nearly 10,000 years to the jungles of Southeast Asia, where wild red jungle fowl first caught the attention of early farmers. These ancient ancestors of our modern chickens were smaller and more colorful than today's birds, but they possessed the same qualities that made them valuable to human communities, providing both eggs and meat while requiring relatively little care compared to larger livestock. The domestication of chickens spread gradually across trade routes, reaching ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome, where they became symbols of both sustenance and prosperity. Roman cooks developed many of the techniques we still use today for preparing chicken, including the slow simmering methods that extract the maximum nutrition and flavor from the bones and meat. Modern chickens provide excellent protein containing all the essential amino acids our bodies need, along with important minerals like selenium and phosphorus that support immune function and bone health. The wide egg noodles that give our soup its satisfying substance trace their origins to ancient China, where wheat cultivation began over 4,000 years ago. Chinese cooks discovered that mixing wheat flour with eggs created a pasta with superior texture and flavor compared to noodles made with flour and water alone. This technique traveled along the Silk Road, eventually reaching Italy, where it merged with local pasta-making traditions. Egg noodles became particularly popular in Eastern European cooking, where they were often served in rich broths and soups. The eggs in the pasta provide additional protein and give the noodles their characteristic golden color and tender texture. The wheat flour contributes complex carbohydrates that make the soup more filling and satisfying, helping to explain why chicken noodle soup has such a reputation for providing comfort and sustenance during times of illness or stress. The carrots in our soup bring both sweetness and a brilliant splash of color, along with a fascinating history of cultivation and development. Wild carrots, ancestors of our modern orange varieties, were originally purple or white and grew throughout Europe and Asia. The orange carrots we know today were developed by Dutch farmers in the 17th century, who selectively bred them to concentrate the beta-carotene that gives them their distinctive color and nutritional value. Beta-carotene converts to vitamin A in our bodies, supporting eye health and immune function. The natural sugars in carrots become more concentrated and accessible during the slow cooking process, contributing to the overall flavor balance of the soup and providing quick energy that can be particularly helpful during recovery from illness. Celery adds a subtle but essential flavor component to our soup, contributing what food scientists call aromatic compounds that enhance the overall taste without dominating it. Wild celery grew in marshlands throughout Europe and Asia, where ancient peoples discovered its unique flavor and began cultivating it in gardens. The Romans prized celery both as food and medicine, believing it had properties that could calm the nervous system and aid digestion. Modern celery contains compounds called phthalates, which contribute to its distinctive taste and may help support cardiovascular health. The fibrous texture of celery provides a pleasant contrast to the soft noodles and tender chicken, while the leaves add an additional layer of flavor complexity that rounds out the soup's overall taste profile. The onions in our recipe serve as the flavor foundation, providing depth and richness that supports all the other ingredients. Onions have been cultivated for over 5,000 years, making them one of humanity's oldest vegetable crops. Ancient Egyptians revered onions so highly that they were often buried with pharaohs, believing they would provide sustenance in the afterlife. The sulfur compounds that make us cry when cutting onions are the same substances that provide their distinctive flavor and many of their health benefits. During the slow cooking process, these sharp compounds mellow and sweeten, contributing to the soup's complex flavor profile while providing natural antibacterial and anti-inflammatory properties that may help explain chicken soup's reputation as healing food. Together, these humble ingredients create something far greater than their individual contributions might suggest, demonstrating how careful combination and gentle cooking can transform simple elements into profound comfort and nourishment. As our chicken noodle soup reaches its final, perfect state, we turn our attention to the art of serving this comforting creation in ways that honor both its humble origins and its powerful ability to nourish both body and soul. The presentation of chicken noodle soup may seem straightforward, but there are time-honored traditions and gentle techniques that can elevate this simple meal into something truly memorable and healing. The ideal serving temperature for chicken noodle soup hovers just below the point where steam rises visibly from the surface, hot enough to warm you from within but not so hot as to mask the delicate flavors we've worked so carefully to develop. Allow the soup to rest for about 5 minutes after removing it from the heat, giving the flavors time to settle and the temperature to moderate to that perfect warmth that soothes rather than burns. Choose your serving bowls with intention, selecting vessels that are deep enough to hold a generous portion while wide enough to allow the beautiful colors and textures of the soup to be appreciated. Warm your bowls beforehand by rinsing them with hot water, as this simple step helps maintain the soup's temperature and shows respect for the meal you've prepared with such care. Ladle the soup gently, ensuring that each serving contains a balanced portion of chicken, vegetables, noodles, and that precious golden broth. The visual presentation should show the beautiful contrast of colors, the orange carrots and green celery nestled among the golden noodles, all floating in the clear, amber-colored broth that speaks of hours of patient simmering. Traditional accompaniments to chicken noodle soup include simple crackers, perhaps saltines or oyster crackers that can be crumbled into the soup for added texture, or served alongside for those who prefer to keep their textures separate. A slice of warm, crusty bread or a simple dinner roll provides a wonderful contrast in texture and helps make the meal more substantial for heartier appetites. Fresh herbs make beautiful and flavorful garnishes for chicken noodle soup. A small sprig of fresh parsley or a few leaves of fresh thyme floated on top of each serving adds both visual appeal and a bright note of flavor that complements the rich, mellow taste of the soup itself. Some traditions call for a small squeeze of fresh lemon juice, which brightens all the other flavors without overwhelming them. The The cultural traditions surrounding chicken noodle soup often emphasize its role as a healing food, served to family members who are feeling unwell or simply need comfort and care. In many households, the preparation and serving of chicken noodle soup is an act of love, a way of providing tangible comfort during difficult times. This tradition transforms the simple act of eating into something deeper, a moment of connection and care that nourishes far more than just the body. For storing leftover soup, allow it to cool completely before refrigerating, where it will keep safely for 3 to 4 days. The flavors often improve overnight as they continue to meld and develop, making leftover chicken noodle soup a true gift to your future self. When reheating, do so gently over low heat, stirring occasionally to prevent the noodles from breaking apart or becoming mushy. If you plan to freeze portions of your soup, consider storing the broth and solids apart from the cooked noodles, as noodles can become soft and lose their texture during the freezing and reheating process. The soup base will freeze beautifully for up to 3 months, ready to be thawed and combined with freshly cooked noodles for a quick, comforting meal. The beauty of chicken noodle soup lies not just in its taste, but in its ability to connect us to generations of cooks who have found comfort in this simple combination of ingredients. Each spoonful carries with it the wisdom of countless kitchens, the care of innumerable hands, and the understanding that sometimes the most profound healing comes from the simplest offerings. As we finish our journey together through the gentle art of making chicken noodle soup, remember that you have created more than just a meal. You have participated in an ancient tradition of nourishment and care, one that connects you to the long line of cooks who understood that food prepared with attention and love carries with it the power to heal, comfort, and restore. And on that note, I want to thank you for joining me tonight on Whispered Ingredients, where we explore the gentle art of cooking together. I hope this recipe brings warmth and comfort to your kitchen and your table. Sweet dreams, and I'll see you next time.